Hi guys, welcome to Little Wicket Railway. I'm Rob and in this video we're looking at the Hornby Royal train set. Hornby have released a few versions of the Royal train set over the years, but this is version R1057 and it was released in the early 2000s. I wasn't able to find out how much this cost when it first came out, but in 2007 this was selling for £100. I got this second hand off eBay for £135 and as you might be able to tell, it's not in the best condition and it's incomplete. Some track was missing, the accessories were missing and the instructions were missing. But all the models were there and that's what I was interested in. However, they were listed as untested and I think I know why. The locomotive had quite a few issues, including cracked gears which made it really jumpy. And if you want to see how I fixed that, then I'll put a link up here. So I'd probably say I paid a bit too much for this given the condition. If you were looking at a complete second-hand set that was almost in mint condition, I'd say you'd be looking to pay between £150 and £200. These sets do seem to be quite desirable and they do hold their value, so it might be a good investment. So if you do manage to get a complete set, what do you get in the box? You get an analogue controller, you get a very generous amount of track. They give you track pack A and track pack B, which allows you to create 2 sidings or a passing loop. To go with your 2 sidings, you get 2 buffers, and you'd also get a track mat to put under your layout. In terms of models, you got the Princess Elizabeth locomotive and 3 Royal coaches. So what I'll do is get those out, take a few photos and we'll have a closer look. So starting with the Princess Elizabeth, which as you might have guessed from the name is a Princess Royal class locomotive. The full-size version was built in 1933, withdrawn in 1962 and then preserved and put back into service in 2002. She comes in the stylish lined maroon with the LMS branding down the sides of the tender. She's got running number 6201, but we've also got nameplates on either side over the centre driving wheels. Interestingly, the nameplate doesn't have the crown above them, and that crown normally signifies that the locomotive has pulled the royal train. And that might be because, when this set was made, Princess Elizabeth hadn't actually pulled the royal train. So in the early 2000s, this set wouldn't have been factually accurate. However, in 2012, way after this set was made, Princess Elizabeth did get her chance to pull the royal train, thereby correcting a decade of historical inaccuracy. Anyway, back to the model. Given that the model's a little bit older, and keeping in mind that my second-hand version appears to have had a pretty tough life, it's actually a really nice model. We've got sprung buffers, a vacuum pipe and a small hook fitted at the front. The valve gear and coupling rods look really good. We've got separately fitted rails around the boiler, on the smoke box door and either side of the cab. Individually detailed valves and whistles on top. Unfortunately, the cab roof hatch doesn't slide, it's moulded half open, and the detail within the cab is a bit disappointing with moulded black plastic features. We've got glazing, but it looks a bit plasticky. The moulded detail on the tender is just as basic as in the cab. We do have some plates fitted on the rear of the tender though, which are a nice touch. The motor is in the locomotive body over the driving wheels, giving this model good weight, which hopefully translates into pulling power. We've got pickups on all 6 driving wheels and all 6 tender wheels, with an electrical connection made using the pin on the tender that attaches it to the locomotive. It's an analogue model, but I've converted this one to DCC. It wasn't too hard to do, and if I put it on the rolling road, I'll show you how she runs. Okay, I'm using the Hornby Select controller, and let's start by turning it up to half power. Okay, so we've got a nice half power running speed there. Let's turn it all the way up to the max. Okay, so we've got plenty of speed there. Probably a bit too much to be realistic and you wouldn't want to run it that quickly. Now let's take it down and see what it's like when it crawls. And that's really nice, really slow and really smooth. So overall, this model ran really well when it was an analogue model, and it runs really well after DCC conversion. Now let's take a look at the coaches. You get 2 Mark IIIs and a Mark II. The Mark IIIs are numbers 2903, which is the Queen's Lounge bedroom and bathroom, and 2904, which is the Duke of Edinburgh's lounge bedroom and bathroom. 2921 is the Mark II sleeper, kitchen and brake coach. All three of these are still in service on the Royal train today. They all come in the Royal Claret with the crests on the side, which looks really nice and is pretty unique. The Queen obviously likes her privacy because all the curtains are closed, which makes it hard to say whether there's much interior detail. But on the exterior there is a good level of detail, but obviously not as good as the newly retooled Mark IIIs that were released earlier this year. We've got some painted detail on the ends and the connecting doors are moulded. The buffers are fixed and the couplings are the wider type. Door handles have been picked out and so have parts of the bogies. These are long coaches, so it's worth keeping in mind that if you've got tight curves, you're going to have quite a bit of overhang. And the bottoms of these coaches are pretty solid, so you do need some clearance between line-side objects. These coaches aren't 100% accurate. For example, the Queen's coach has been modified from the standard Mark IIIs to have double doors, and this isn't reflected on the model. But overall, they're a good approximation. Plus, Hornby have released extra coaches, so it's possible to increase the number of coaches, which is always a bonus. So overall, what do we think of the Hornby Royal train set? Well, I really like it. It ticks a lot of boxes for me. You get a nice big LMS locomotive, and it is analogue, but it's easily converted to digital. But the important thing is it runs smoothly on either system. It's also a preserved locomotive, so there is a chance you could see it in real life, and that gets bonus points from me. The coaches are interesting and unique, and you get 3 of them, which adds to the value of the set. All models have a nice level of detail, and you get plenty of track to go with them. So overall, if you can find a set in better condition than this one for a reasonable price, then I say go for it. As I said at the start, this isn't the only Royal train set that Hornby have released. They did do a version for Marks and Spencers, and they've done some various train packs over the years. The different sets sometimes come with different locomotives, and some of them are digital. So if you don't fancy this particular Royal train set, then have a hunt around and you might find one that you prefer. If you've enjoyed this video, then please give me a like and a subscribe. As usual, I will leave you with some shots of the Royal train running around Little Wicket. Thanks for watching, and I will hopefully see you again soon.